One was I'd been interested in Indian history for some time, and I think that goes back much further. In the town we grew up in, there was a lot of prejudice, as there was all over the country at that time. But and I remember going to high school basketball game in the gymnasium. There were empty seats everywhere and not a real big crowd. But then there was one corner, no seats, and all the blacks stood there. And that was hard to understand. I guess I felt that was drastically wrong, and that got me interested, I think, in reading about the Indians as well. So, and then also I was interested in science, background being in engineering, and had a degree in education. And so when I was at Xerox, I would gather interesting physical things to demonstrate things, thinking that someday I'd get a chance to teach physical science.
Yeah.
And when Xerox came up with this program, that was the opportunity.
Yeah.
That reservation is desolate. I mean, it's, when the wind blows, the sand, dirt. Remember, we left the trailer windows open once, and when we came back, the dust was covering everything in there, because when the wind gets going, sand is in the air. But some of the people just loved that land. I remember that older guy, and he said, "How do you like it out here?" And I said, "I love the Black Hills, the most beautiful country I've ever been in." And he said, "I love this." Down on that barren reservation, he didn't care for the Black Hills. It's a ghetto. The reservation is a ghetto. And the difference between the ghetto there and the ghetto in the big city, I always felt, in the big city, the people in the ghetto could at least see possibilities. It was there to see. There, they couldn't see anything. Out there, all they saw was poverty. And the unemployment rate was above 75%. So there was not much hope. They lived in the lack of running water and heat in homes. I mean, that was the norm. I mean, I can remember kids coming in and said, the one said, "Grandma froze to death last night." I mean, they thought nothing of that either. I mean, it was just common stuff.
That's cool.
If you look for funny things, we could always tell Indian cars. If you'd see a car coming, and if it was loaded with people, you knew they were Indian. I think they got more man miles per gallon than any. They were always, and the cars weren't the best cars either. It was dry by tribal law, not by U.S. government, but the tribe. And the tribe there said no alcohol, but we've never seen as much alcohol except our refrigerator. It's bad, bad for the Indians. Always had a reputation. There are a lot of theories why Indians have a hard time with alcohol. They can't tolerate it as much as a lot of people thought. But yeah, and they were troubled. The suicide rate was quite high on the reservation. Kids, the one kid I had, his name was Levi Whirlwind Horse. I think he, after a couple of years after I was there, I think he might have committed suicide there at Red Cloud. But they, I mean, it's very depressing.
Yeah.
It's hard to say. I don't know. I'd like to go back and see some of those kids and see where they are now, and I think I would be discouraged if I would see
What happened to him?
what happened to them. Yeah. I bet that there are a lot of them that are no longer alive.
Yeah.
In fact, as I know of one girl.
She died at graduation, didn't she?
No, that was another one. There were some good kids there. Just dealt a bad. I would encourage people to not accept what's in their mind about the American Indian. They ought to read, and there are many well-documented cases of guys high in the cavalry who changed their minds completely about Indians after they got to know them. Yep. They realized these are not savages. The wisdom is, I think it's true, the white man had knowledge, the Indian had wisdom. Yeah. And that's not just a motherhood statement. That I fully believe that.